time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready. I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house.
What's going on, brother?
We're talking about the Jets. Like,
Just continuing to try to figure things out. Man, I just went to had to go to the pharmacy today. $220 for my meds because I don't have no health insurance anymore. That's a kick in the gut right there.
Serious kick.
I gotta figure this out, man. It's tough.
when I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like.
Oh, my bad.
You had to work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time?
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir.
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
We ready.
I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
Now, this game is not over. It's just getting started right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. We stream live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Roku. If you got a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. That's B as in Ben, S as in Sam, the number 3 TV, and you got us right there in the middle of your big screen, along with some other really great shows. And we call this one, Oh My Goodness, exclamation point, Monday, right here on the lunch break. This one is so juicy, I had to get some help. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, voice of Tulane basketball, and with MLBBro.com. How you doing, man?
It was a busy weekend, and it's already been a busy Monday.
Bruh.
A lot of resumes getting dusted off.
Man, let me tell you something. So I pinched a nerve in my back, just stress in one area. I thought my doctor was going to kill me today. I get out of her office and I get a call from one of our brothers, Willie Gibson from Will Knows Podcast. And he's like, Brian Flores. I was like, Brian Flores what? Brian Flores what? Relieved of his duty. What? Wait, what? Brian Flores. For what?
That's a good question because it doesn't seem like it should be for his job. I mean, he won 8 of his last 9 ball games. Dude went 4-2 in his career against Bill Belichick. They had winning seasons each of the last 2 years. So it doesn't seem like he was fired for performance. It just makes you wonder what's going on in Miami. It seems like there's a real disconnect here between the job that Flores did, the job that the players thought that he did, because you see how many of them now are speaking out on his behalf, and then just what management, whatever its decision is. I don't know where this is coming from, if it's from the owner's box or if it's from the GM's office, if it's somebody trying to, if he's trying to protect his job and letting Coach Flores go because of that. But the problem the Dolphins have is not Brian Flores. The problem they have is that they have not had a quarterback in Tua perform up to the expectations that he had when he was drafted out of Alabama. That situation has been uncertain for each of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And Brian Flores had to figure that out. That offense, the issues have not been, in him getting that team together. They just started to get some talent there. Defensively, they played well. It's a very surprising fire at the very least.
Yeah. Let me give credit to where this message came from. Omar Kelly, who covers the Dolphins down there in Miami, tweeted out, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross just whacked a guy who put together 2 straight winning seasons, and the second of which came after a 1-7 start. And it wasn't about the team's performance. It was about Brian Flores' inability to work well with people. Let that sink in a little.
Who are those people? What people? That's the part. Who are these people? Because it doesn't seem like it's the players. It doesn't seem like it's the players, because typically when you see an unpopular coach get fired, it's either silent or people coming out of the woodwork to say how unpopular that person was. Yeah. Like you saw with Urban Meyer.
Right.
And like you see, I think, the shock that a guy like Joe Judge looks like he's going to keep his job for another year in New York when no one likes Joe Judge. No one. has spoken out for Joe Judge. But there are a lot of people speaking up for Brian Flores today, and that is shocking. So who are the people in the building that he's not getting along with? Does it come down to the general manager? Does it come down to folks who just don't, who bristle at the thought of having this man tell them what to do in that office? I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem right. And that's the thing, is the performance-wise, and this nonsense of the meritocracy of professional sports, again, gets the holes poked in it.
Yeah, we're not talking about meritocracy. We done with that one. We just know that just doesn't exist in college, pro. I'm tempted to go down to high school and say it just ain't there. So David Grubb joining us, host of Hard in the Paint, MLBBro.com, voice of Tulane basketball. It's Oh My Goodness Monday. We jumping right in on this one right here. Any thought to some of this being yet another Bill Belichick disciple going somewhere else, thinking that they could emulate what they saw Bill Belichick do in that building, and it rubs people the wrong way?
I don't know if it has any. I wouldn't draw the line between Belichick and Flores in that regard. Because, I mean, a guy like Romeo Cornell didn't have a big personality. I don't think.
Didn't do that. Right.
I mean, he didn't come across as a Charlie Weiss type, as a guy who's micromanaging and trying to make himself seem bigger. You don't hear a lot about Brian Flores. You didn't hear nationally that he was this extremely demanding person. So it's surprising that it wasn't until late. And I remember yesterday, I think it was during the Fox broadcast, that what's his name, the short guy who does the insider there at Fox NFL. What's his name? Does the MMA stuff too.
I'm drawing a blank on him. I see his face, little round, muscular guy.
Yeah, but he said yesterday he would have been shocked, but that he had heard things late in the week that Brian Flores might be out, and it was just, it was very late for this stuff to come out. It was very late that people would all of a sudden have these issues. So I think it's just a little surprising that we didn't hear these stories before. It seems like it could be the ultimately an internal power struggle that didn't go in the coach's favor.
Well, here's the thing. Even though the GM was new at the GM job, been with the organization for a while. So if it came down to him and Brian Flores, maybe the owner decided to go with someone he knew for 18, 15 years, somewhere around in there.
And that part, it's the cutthroat of, if it's going to be you or me, it's going to be you.
Right.
You're going to have to go. So certainly then, if that's the case, it still doesn't help, the overall look in the NFL when now it's down to 2 of 32 coaches. 2. It's a bad look for the league. It's a bad look for the Dolphins, who are finally getting some credibility after all those years of being out of the NFL's inner circle. Now they were trying to get back to some credibility over the last 2 seasons, and now they're back to step 1.
Yeah. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, joining us here on Oh My Goodness Monday on the lunch break. Brian Flores gets another job, right? This cycle. Brian Flores gets another job this cycle.
I'm not taking that bet. I'm not taking that bet. This is the NFL. This is the NFL. Like, we've seen this too many times before, where we're still waiting for Jim Caldwell to get another look.
That's
what I mean? So we're still waiting on Eric Bieniemy to get a first look.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on. So who would have thought that David Cullen would have jumped past some of these other names on the list when he got hired last year? So it's I have no clue as to whether or not Brian Flores will get another job. You have people saying he'll have one by the close of business today. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. The NFL doesn't work that way. Right. And particularly for black coaches, it doesn't work that way.
Right. So that being said, my next question is already answered. Who gets another job first, Mike Zimmer or Brian Flores?
Well, I think Mike Zimmer's already being talked about as defense coordinator in a number of spots. They already talked about him in New Orleans, that if Dennis Allen leaves, that if somebody snags Dennis Allen this offseason as a head coach, that Zimmer is a candidate to come here. So I don't know who's going to get a job soon. And it just doesn't, with Byron Leftwich sitting out there with, a number of coaches who probably deserve shots. we saw it last year. The hirings just don't happen
Right.
in a way that we think that they're going to. So to me, it's like, placing a bet is a fool's errand at this point, because I have no idea that any of these coaches will get a chance. We're 3 weeks removed from people talking about firing Mike Tomlin.
Right.
So for us to bet on anything right now to make sense, nah.
Let's do this. Let's take our first break. When we come back, let's talk about some of the multiple openings where there's a GM and a head coaching position open. There's a tag team, and I ain't talking about the Rock and Roll Express or the Road Warriors. We'll talk about them and where they might land when we come back. David Grubb joining us here in this first hour on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. If you want to get in with your oh my goodness moment from the weekend, you know the numbers. 281-453-1000. That's 281-453-1000. Or text me, 832-403-5005. You can always get in, AJ@KYOKsports.com. We'll be right back.
If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt, then listen up. We can reduce or eliminate your interest rates. Cut your monthly payment up to 50% and stop all late fees. Our company has been helping good people just like you get out of debt for over 30 years. Don't get stressed out. If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt and medical bills, we can show you a way to reduce all of your bills to one lower monthly payment that you can afford. So again, if you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt and medical bills you can't afford, make this free call today and learn how you can finally get out of debt. Call now for your free consultation. 800-638-7112. 800-638-7112. 800-638-7112. That's 800-638-7112. Sponsored by Credit Card.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance,
What do you say?
free call right now and see how the
NFL
Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legend continues.
I am Jacqueline Carr, and here is your winning strategy. If you need to work on your winning self-image, I will challenge you to work on the inside first. Make sure that you feel good and have healthy relationships in your life. You got to be authentic to yourself. Being you is the thing that you do best. Remember, it all goes back to how you see yourself. Be careful that you don't give too much credit to how others see you or how they feel about you. When you give the opinion from others space in your life, it can stop you from feeling good about who you are and what you have accomplished. An excellent way to develop a winning attitude is to have a mentor in your life. Find someone who has been where you are going or want to go. Good mentors help you to set goals and they hold you accountable. It also feels good to know that you have someone in your corner that is rooting for you.
You're having your lunch on the lunch break with KYOK.
What they really want from us, David Grubb. I like that. Jacqueline Carr, she's one of the sponsors for the hour with the winning strategies. Appreciate that right there. Get you a good mentor. But listen, I was always told that if you got somebody that tells you everything you do is right, that ain't a good friend, family, or mentor. So what they really want from us, David Grubb?
Whatever they want at that moment, it changes constantly.
Come on, man. Come on.
The rules are never the same. from
Speak
day
well.
to day.
Speak
They
well.
are never the same from day to day.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's oh my goodness Monday. I got a couple of people who are hitting me up. Somebody says, yo, even the team, the players want Joe Judge gone after what he pulled yesterday. I mean, you got one guy that the players are speaking up for. He's gone. You got a guy that the players are speaking out against, and it looks like he's coming back.
It makes no sense. And, you look at what the Giants did yesterday in that game, just not even just losing, and losing 20-7 to the Washington football team. And when you get to the point, the announcers who are there to sell the product,
right?
That's their job. They are partners with the NFL to sell that product. And when they show up to say, Joe Judge, what are you doing?
Yes.
When both of the play-by-play and the color announcer, you get Daryl Johnston and Chris Myers both saying, what is this? When you do quarterback sneaks on consecutive possessions consecutive snaps inside your 10-yard line, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not even giving your guys a chance to win the ball game. You're telling them that you don't have any confidence in them to do their jobs.
Yeah.
Who's going to play with you for that? Who's going to play for you if that's
what the statement is. If Joe Judge is going to surrender like that, the Giants should give up on him too. Again, that's not smart coaching. That's not Bill Belichickian. That's just like you said. You didn't have enough confidence in the people that you're leading into battle, and you expect them to follow you into a battle. I don't see it. And let me just say this: what more are you going to see out of Joe Judge that you haven't already seen?
Look, you can go look across as a Lions supporter, and I was not a big fan of the Dan Campbell hire. I thought he came in and he was, a little extra.
Embarrassing, but go ahead.
But I'll say this: the Lions had nothing to play for yesterday against Packers. Nothing. They had nothing to play for. They weren't going to win anything. They weren't going to improve their draft position. Nothing was going to get better. They played their behinds off. They won that game 37-30 because they wanted to. They played to win that ball game, even though it didn't mean anything ultimately to their season. You didn't see that out of the Giants.
Right.
And I say this: if you're a professional, there's one thing look, that the ultimate goal is to make the postseason, but there's also the part of you're putting your body out there as a competitor,
right?
And you want to be put in a position where, look, my physical exertion is not in vain here. We are at least attempting. Now, there's a difference between trying to win and failing and not trying and getting your behind whooped. And I think that's what players don't, no person wants to be in a position where you felt like you are being sacrificed. And that's essentially what Joe Judge did to his players. He let them make a physical sacrifice for 4 quarters and did not help them make that worth something. Did not give them the opportunity to at least do that in the context of getting a victory on your home field to end the season, and you don't even give them a chance? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, Dave Gettleman said he had a plan when he said he wasn't going to trade Odell Beckham Jr. Then he turns around a week later and trades Odell Beckham Jr., and all of a sudden they got this plan, and this is what you put out on the – you ain't got no plan.
And Dave Gettleman now talking about he's going to retire. That he's telling people he's going to retire. You're running from your failure is what you're doing. You quitting. It's not retirement. It's you quitting because he's too young to be retiring from anything. Dave Gettleman is not 70.
Bruh, let me just say something real quick. There's some people who try to quit before they get fired, and there's some people who won't quit for nothing until you fire them. And Dave Gettleman is just, I'll take option C. I'm going to retire.
No, that's not retirement. You have hurt that franchise to the point that everyone thinks you did a poor job, and Dave Gettleman. Everybody thinks you hired a bad coach. Everything thinks you've drafted bad players, and you put this team in a situation where they're dependent on Daniel Jones and this coach going forward. Yeah. Man, if you're Saquon Barkley, at the very least you say, look, I know my career, I have not lived up to everything because of these injuries. Yeah. But give me a chance. Yeah, man. Give me a chance.
Yeah, if I'm Barkley, I go Le'Veon Bell, bro. I ain't coming. Y'all keep all my stuff in the locker room. Yep. Let me go. Just release me. Free Saquon Barkley.
Just give me a chance to do something somewhere. Yeah. You're not even giving me a chance here. And as a running back, you don't have that many years.
Yep. All right, so David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, joining us here on Oh My Goodness Monday. There are a couple of jobs that have dual openings, general manager and head coach. And there is a tag team duo out there. You know, I'm big wrestling, bro. Road Warriors, when that music came on, I was like, yes!
The
Yes!
Eric's.
Hey, I used to cry when the Rock and Roll Express lost. And I own mine. I own mine. When they lost,
Bulldogs, you know.
Yeah. So there is a duo by the name of Louis Riddick and Josh McDaniels. And supposedly, word on the street is they are tied at the hip. If one gets a job, he's bringing the other one. If the other one gets a job, he is bringing the other one. Where do they make the best fit? In Chicago with a young quarterback like Justin Fields, or up in Minnesota with whatever that is known as Kirk Cousins?
If I'm Louis Riddick, I'd want that Chicago chance. Because I think that there are fundamental pieces there that can really do something. There are times this year that Chicago showed that they had something. They just didn't have the guy in charge. And to go into the season and to make it that Andy Dalton, to set that from the outset, that Andy Dalton's going to be our starter and not give Justin Fields an opportunity to see if he could win that job, to not, throw these guys into the fire. These are short-sighted decisions for a team that is trying to get to a different place. Yeah. The Bears have been to the playoffs. Like, that's the thing, is the Bears have been to the playoffs. It's not like they're distantly removed from a Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we can remember them making it to the Super Bowl with Lovie Smith and Rex Grossman at quarterback.
That's why Lovie Smith deserves a job. Anytime he applies for a job in the NFL, you give him a job because the dude made it.
Lovie ain't getting no calls.
Grossman. But go ahead, I digress.
But Lovie ain't get no calls, and that's the thing, that's why for Brian Flores, he didn't even get to a Super Bowl. Lovie got to a Super Bowl. Jim Caldwell went to a Super Bowl, went to the playoffs multiple times. Can't get a job.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can't get a job. Yeah. But you have these guys now, and you look at these situations, and I just, if I'm Louis Riddick, that Minnesota job, Minnesota feels like it's always in the middle. Like, Minnesota stays in that uncomfortable middle. It does not get it, can't get to that Super Bowl level. It just stays in that uncomfortable middle. And with Kirk Cousins, that's where you're going to live. With all that money you have invested in Kirk Cousins, that's where you're going to stay. But with Justin Fields, you have a guy on his rookie deal, which is the best time to get a quarterback.
Best time to get in, right.
Get that rookie deal that you can build up people around him. You have a defense in place. You have a superstar defensively, Khalil Mack. You have other pieces there. You have a guy in Moody who can be a big play threat at receiver. They can find some more talent to go around that. And they've had running backs. That's not been a problem for Chicago in the past in finding running backs. If they can get a little more help there in that division where the Packers are not going to be on the top of that mountain much longer, and you look at that Vikings team and you say, unless they've got somebody behind Kirk Cousins, it could get tough there in Minnesota in a second. Detroit being Detroit, you're Chicago, you have a chance to jump to the top of that division in a short fashion if you get the right leadership in there and add a couple more pieces. So if I'm Louis Riddick, that's the job. If that's available to me, that's one I take. Because I think in Miami, you're stuck with trying to salvage this Tua situation and, or something like that. You go to Minnesota, you've got those issues. Chicago feels like a place where you really could have a chance to make a difference there.
David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint. I agree with you on that one. I agree. Louis Riddick and Josh McDaniels, if they're joined at the hip, the best place for them to win something is there in Chicago versus Minnesota. Josh can be creative with Justin Fields, and Justin can handle Josh McDaniels' offense. So, and I feel like Josh may have learned from whatever he did wrong in Denver. I feel like he's probably learned from that situation and has experienced some humility back in New England. So I think that would be a good fit.
Yeah, you give him another opportunity. I think you need somebody who's going to work with Justin Fields. You're going to need somebody who can understand too that accuracy is going to be the biggest thing. And what did he do for Tom Brady? That was that working on those intermediate and short routes to give you a bunch of dink and dunks. The same thing they did with Mac Jones this year to get them to a winning record.
Yep.
You get Mac Jones didn't complete passes longer than 8-9 yards in the air for most of the season.
Todd Malcolm, I hope you're listening. Mac Jones couldn't throw the ball downfield past 10, 12 yards. But anyway, I digress.
No, not without a mail carrier taking it farther than that. It wasn't going anywhere. But, I'd give Justin Fields that opportunity. In a place like Chicago, a quarterback who can move has always been important. You go back to Bobby Douglas, Vince Evans. Quarterbacks that can move and with that wind outdoors. As long as you're going to be outdoors, having a quarterback who can be mobile and has a big arm, and Justin Fields does have a big arm.
Really does.
That's how you have to win in Chicago. You haven't had success since Jim McMahon was the quarterback, really. Like a real quarterback who played every down and was the leader of that team since Jim McMahon. And I think that you need to find a guy you're willing to let explore that now and to take up that space. And that's been the problem for Chicago going all the way back to Rex Grossman is they've not let quarterbacks grow up.
Right.
They've tried to just put these training wheels on them forever. They did that with Mitchell Trubisky in the playoffs last season. Wouldn't let him throw the football.
Right. Even with Jay Cutler. It's a different environment. And when that GM brought in Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun, when he brought in Nagy over other potential head coaches, his doom was sealed no matter what they did with Nagy.
Yeah, it's unconscionable that you traded up for Mitchell Trubisky that no one was trying to trade up to get. No one was trying to trade up to get.
Nobody was checking for him.
No.
We got to take another break. We'll come back. Let's talk about some of the surprises from yesterday's games when we come back. David Grubb, host of Hard to Paint, MLBBro.com, and voice of Tulane basketball, hanging out with his big brother. Yeah, I'm your big brother. Here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. I'll read some of these crazy text messages y'all got coming in. Got my computer blinging over here. I'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking to start a business? From side hustles to major business opportunity, Franchise 123 connects franchise buyers with sellers. And we have over 4,000 franchises for you to choose from. In one simple 30-second call, our live agents will sign you up to the platform. This is not a hard sales call either. We give you free access to our database. Yes, free access, no cost. We are the largest online franchise database in the world. You can find 95% of all businesses. Buying a franchise doesn't have to be complicated. We make it easy. And right now, some have no startup fees. You can turn your special skill into a franchise business or go full scale with all the top franchise businesses in the world. Sign up with Franchise 123 now and get your free guide to franchise success now. Call 800-419-5344, 800-419-5344, or text Franchise 123 to 63566. Text Franchise 123 to 63566.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM. The legendary KYOK 92.3 FM. Radio stations in one.
Talk with your boy TD Blackshear every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. See you there.
Hi, I'm Larry Scott, host of the Not So Christian and Me Show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding our world today. We are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation.
Eminem, you need to get a job, bro.
So join me Saturday
to get a job.
from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Not So Christian and Me Show, right here on the legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM and KYOKradio.org.
It's the lunch break on KYOK.
We're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK, all new 92.3 FM, streaming live, KYOKradio.org. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We're on Roku. That's right. Look for BS3 TV. BS3 TV. Download it from your Roku streaming device, and there we are. Great shows on there as well. Be sure and check them all out. Man, longtime friend of mine, Eminem, not that Eminem, said, if I'm the Giants, I fire everybody in the building, except the players. I fire everybody in the building. I fire Joe Judge, James Judge, the Judge, a Judge. I fire everybody.
I don't know if I fired them all. You can't fire all the players. They're under contract, so that ain't going to happen. So,
he said everybody but the players.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, The Giants probably could do that. They probably really could. There's enough people who probably deserve to lose their jobs, but certainly Joe Judge should have. Certainly.
Bro, look, anybody that Joe Judge likes should be gone. Like, you like Joe Judge? Yeah, you fine too.
I can't believe those players are going to come in for their season-ending meetings, and they're going to be looking at him like he's the Walking Dead. They're like, "How did you do this? How are you still alive?"
There's a class action lawsuit being filed against the Jets and the Giants about them using New York because, number one, they're an embarrassment. Number two, they're not in New York. They're in New Jersey, and they feel like they're using the New York title to overinflate their value, for business purposes. Obviously, the lawsuit doesn't have a whole lot of merit, but there's always one little thing in there that makes you say, because you're not allowed to overinflate your business for loans and stuff like that. And if that's what the Giants and the Jets are doing,
Well, I think the problem is it's about the TV market. So as long as New York televisions can watch the Jets and they're at home, and the Giants, it doesn't matter. That's what the thing is. It's like they are not official. Your address it's not the same. It's like the Golden State Warriors. We had a lot of teams that the Washington football team does not play in Washington. It plays in Virginia. Its headquarters are in Virginia, and those types of things. The Carolina Panthers are in North Carolina exclusively. These things.
Cowboys are not in Dallas; they're in Arlington.
Right. So if that's the case, this is the part of the names don't really mean anything. That's what we have to get to the point too of understanding is that these names, franchise names, don't mean anything. And I think part of that is our psychology of thinking that these teams belong to our cities, and they don't. They don't represent your city. They don't belong to your city. They are private business entities who just have a brand name. That's what this is. These are brand names. And I think part of that is our mistake as followers and as fans is that we continue to ascribe values to these teams and these franchises that they do not ascribe for themselves.
Right.
They are not civic gatekeepers. They know this. But they will play on your thinking of that to get money from you.
Which is why, unless you're in Green Bay, why are you paying taxes to build somebody else's stadium to run their business? You don't do that for the local grocery store. You don't do that for the local corner store, gas station. You don't do that for them, but yet there we go on these.
And your NFL, NBA team or whatever contributes less to your economy than any of those local businesses. And you'll say, how is that possible? There's not a financial researcher that has done the job that'll tell you that these franchises add any value to your city. They don't. They're entertainment. It's a movie theater. It's just a giant movie theater.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah. Let's stop, David, because we're gonna get in trouble. If I'm the Malcolm X of sports talk radio, you gotta be the Martin Luther King Jr. So
you're giving me a lot of peace for that. I'm probably more Huey Newton, H. Brown, some Stokely Carmichael. That's probably me.
Let's go games, man. How were you surprised? How surprised were you? Oh my goodness, that the Pittsburgh Steelers won and got in won the game and got in the playoffs.
I was really surprised they won the game. I'm happy. Like, it's one of the bittersweet things because you're happy for Mike Tomlin. Like, hey, that dude went through a lot this year. But I don't want to see Ben Roethlisberger anymore. I'm so ready for Ben Roethlisberger to go off into the side and to fade off into the sunset. That dude, I think he's glowing tributes to him over the last couple of weeks of people acting like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He probably cost Mike Tomlin more the last few seasons than he has helped him. And the Steelers are winning despite Ben Roethlisberger these last few weeks. It just feels like, it was a shocking win. It was a shocking win for them, for the way Baltimore gave it up to. And you got to give a lot of props to Huntley for his job coming in and what he did, leading that offense and putting Baltimore in position to even have a chance.
Yep.
But no, it's bittersweet with those Steelers because I'm no Roethlisberger guy.
Yeah, I got you. I was very surprised that they won the game. And again, out of all the teams in the AFC North, I didn't expect Pittsburgh at this stage. At the beginning of the year, I had Baltimore number 1, Pittsburgh 2, Cleveland 3, Cincinnati 4. Obviously, I was wrong. once Cincinnati was locked in, the one team that I did not think would get in was Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Baltimore probably is the biggest disappointment. Even with losing Lamar and all those things, just that disappointment of them not making it, the way that they fell off. Cleveland felt like paper champions the whole season. I never trusted Baker Mayfield, certainly. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, you felt like offensively they had a juggernaut waiting to happen. Could they get enough defense? And they did. They got enough. They're not a great defensive team, but they've gotten enough, and they have a very good pass rush. But Pittsburgh, having lost the number of players that they lost during the season, the games they had to compete with, and being in the AFC where every team feels like it's a step apart, you got to give them a lot of credit for battling through that and stealing a playoff spot.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I said Najee Harris was one of the biggest pickups in this draft, and he proved to be that and then some. Let's take a phone call, David. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this?
Mr. David Grubb, AJ Lunch Break, the first man.
Man, don't be calling in here for your Pittsburgh Steelers, brothers. This ain't the Pittsburgh Steelers chat line.
Now watch this, David Grubb. No, I'm not calling in the kudos to the Pittsburgh. Look, guys, Pittsburgh's still struggling. You know, that's not the team that I know. Pittsburgh guys are still struggling. And so in order for them to even to advance to try to beat Kansas City, Doc, you got to have some playoff games. They're not the Pittsburgh of old. You barely beat the Ravens, which, like David Grubb said, the Ravens I thought would definitely be there, but, you know, teams get hurt. And so we still struggling, guys. I don't see us getting past Kansas City, but I'll say this and I'll let you guys go. This is a Super Bowl game. So now this is the cream of the crop. You got a good coach versus a good coach. You got Ben who think he still have it. Will he have it after Kansas City? Time will tell. So you have your guys, AJ. You got your running backs. Ben is healthy. There's no excuse. So if Pittsburgh, who lucked up and got in, think you're as good as you think you are, then show me and beating Kansas City.
All right, fair enough. Ferdinand Call of the Year 2017. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one. Appreciate it.
Hey, he brings up a good point. Pittsburgh literally has nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. Like, nobody expects them to beat Kansas City. Nobody expected them to be there. They can come out and let it all hang out.
They're going to have to. You know, against Kansas City is still one of those teams that still feels like if you catch them at the right time, they're vulnerable. They're one of those teams that, you know, they're like they're one of those boxers that has all the skills, but they have a soft chin. Like, that's the way I feel about Kansas City. They have a soft chin. If you hit them on the right spot, they'll go down because they don't seem to do well with real adversity. And we've seen that over the last couple seasons. Patrick Mahomes, for all the gifts that he has, all the greatness that he exhibits, we've not seen that consistency when things get really tough. The ability to just play an NFL series. You know what I mean? Like, when you don't have the shotgun working, when you don't have all the receivers making big plays, can you grind out a few possessions? And sometimes Kansas City has a real problem with that. Physically, they are not that kind of team that just can set a tone physically on the offensive end. So if you're Pittsburgh, that's the only chance you have is by turning this into a street brawl and just make it as a physical 17. You know, if it gets to the mid-20s, it's over. But if you can keep it in the low, you know, upper teens, low 20s, then Pittsburgh's got a chance. The problem is Kansas City never plays on the road in the playoffs with Patrick Mahomes. They're always at home.
Yep. That's why I say, man, you want them coming to you as opposed to you getting on the plane, bus, whatever, to get to them. Nothing to say about the Bengals-Browns game. Titans needed that one to lock up the number one seed in the AFC. Everybody's real excited about the Texans and how they played in the second half of that game. I'm going to tell you what I didn't like, David. I didn't like the commentators and the broadcasters for how they tried to downplay former Texans. Somebody made the comment that if Deontay Foreman had been in that kind of shape, he would still be with the Houston Texans. That's not true. He ran up against a narcissistic head coach who did not like him for whatever reason. They got off on the wrong track, and one had to exert their power over the other one. And then they tried to come for Zach Cunningham. And all Zach does is tackle people. And then we find out Zach wanted out at the beginning of the year. Zach said, I wanted to be released at the beginning of the year. They wouldn't release me. And when it came down to it, did I do stuff to get released? Absolutely. But I wanted out. he's in a good spot now. I don't like how commentators try to rewrite history when somebody else leaves a bad situation.
Yeah, players are always subject to this, and it's protection of Bill O'Brien's legacy for some reason. I don't understand why the sporting world, the football world, whether it's college or the NFL, seems to want to keep making Bill O'Brien into somebody he is not, and making and relitigating his decisions on his behalf. I don't understand that at all. And players do not get the benefit of the doubt in these circumstances. We've all been in situations where we felt like we weren't being dealt with fairly or properly, or the environment that we were in, we didn't want to be in anymore. And I think we need to understand that you are not. The unfortunate part is people talk about you are employed by the NFL. No, you're not. You're stuck in that individual spot. And if you've got the bad spot, you don't want to be somewhere. This is the only situation in professional life. There are very few places where professionals don't have any choice about where they get to work.
Right.
This is, so if you're in a bad situation, and again, you are putting your physical well-being on the line in this profession. It's not like being a doctor in a hospital where, hey, the conditions maybe are not great, but I could take my services to another hospital. I could open up my own private practice. You're a linebacker. What you gonna do?
Right.
Where are you else you gonna apply your trade if nobody else is going to move you on? You are stuck in these situations, and sometimes the only way for these guys to get out is to be less than professional. That's terrible because that's the way the system is set up. Nobody wants to be in that position. But yeah, the announcers protecting people who aren't even around. Like O'Brien's not even in the NFL anymore, and people are protecting his decision making. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. And oh yeah, by the way, Bill O'Brien doesn't care about either of those two announcers that were trying to defend him and rewrite his history. We got to take another break. When we come back, I want to ask you a question about Tennessee. What can they do? What can't they do, given the way that they're set up right now? We'll be right back. David Grubb with us on Oh My Goodness Monday here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Every day to earn a living, you're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-603-9359. 800-603-9359. 800-603-9359. That's 800-603-9359.
Well, I hope you are enjoying your weekend. Hey, everybody, it's Erica Campbell.
And I'm Greg from Get Up Mornings.
We want to thank you so much for rocking with us every weekday morning.
And after you enjoy your weekend, make sure you start your work week with us.
When you start your day with us, we'll help you get moving and motivated to have the best day ever. Go ahead, say it, Greg.
Best day ever!
So wake up with us. We'll be faith walking,
love talking,
and joy living on Get Up Mornings.
Get up.
The lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
All right, we're back here on the lunch break. Oh my goodness, Monday. It's hot in here, but it's cold outside on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Streaming live, KYOKradio.org and YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Roku. All right, real quick, David. Can the Tennessee Titans win the way they're constructed? I know Derrick Henry's coming back. I know Deontay Foreman's running the ball real well. They got other players. They got another Hilliard from Tulane that's running the ball extremely well. But can they win with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback and get to the AFC Championship game, possibly even a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, look who we've seen win Super Bowls. We've seen Joe Flacco win a Super Bowl. We've seen guys. If you can get hot and your defense is solid, you can get there. They've been in that position. Are they much different than the 49ers team that made it to the Super Bowl and lost to Kansas City a couple years ago? No. This is essentially the same team, but I think Tannehill's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo is. And you look on the outside and you get some very talented wide receivers on the outside. The best running back in the NFL.
Yep.
A guy who finished, fourth in the AFC in rushing yards and he missed half the season?
Yep.
So with that defense, It travels. It goes on the road. Who are you going to be playing on the road most likely? Because you are the number one seed. If these folks got to come to you. They got to come see you down there. Who's going to beat Tennessee in Tennessee? Yeah. Who's going to come down there and play in that mud? Because that field does get muddy and nasty at the end of the year. Who's going to come down there if it gets and beat them there? Who's going to do that? That's the question. Are you going to be willing to take those licks for 4 quarters? And you look across the AFC. Are the Bengals ready for that? I don't think so. Not in year 1. You know what I mean? So are outside of Kansas City, there's not a quarterback out there that you're afraid of. You know, when you look up and down. So if you're Tennessee, you figure, you've got better. You're number 1, and you got more than a puncher's shot going into this. You've been here. You've been in this situation where you've been close to this. Can you finish it off? That's the question. They're built for it. Sure, they're built for it.
Brown and Jones at wide receiver is just strong, bro. And Jones, Julio looks really good there in Tennessee.
And he got rest. He got his rest too.
Right. Yeah, they got something going at Tennessee. All right, so let's talk about, how crazy do the Colts look and sound right now? Why does Frank Reich feel like he's got to rent a quarterback every year? Why is a former NFL quarterback not developing a quarterback in the league? Because Carson Wentz let him down at the most inopportune time yesterday.
But what made them think they were going to be the ones to fix Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz is more than just his physical abilities. Carson Wentz is messed up in the head as a quarterback. And I'm not saying as a person. I don't know him as a person. But as a quarterback, we've seen this. The guy who couldn't keep his job year in and year out in Philadelphia, who has not gotten along with teammates, who has had some sense.
He stopped talking to his head coach.
Right.
He stopped talking to his head coach.
So we've seen a sense of entitlement at times with him. And I thought, I don't like the way when relationships are built on false premises. When they came out this year and you saw the Hard Knocks thing, they're like, well, we got along because we're both men of faith. No. That had nothing to do with football. That has nothing to do with football. And you put that as the bond instead of we both work hard this way, we both get the concepts, we both communicate. No. Because, see, you're trying to create something that is based on a feeling rather than production. And when you get that to a certain level now, why aren't we communicating? I thought we were this, we did this. It's a job. It's a job. And if you can't deal with the job, all that other stuff we get along off the field and outside, Carson Wentz has never shown the ability to get through a 16-game season, now 17, with his team intact, with the team around him looking like they're competing at their best level. And you have the second best running back arguably in the league and Jonathan Taylor behind you. You have that defense, which has been ready for years now, and they built you an offensive line. You have solid weapons on the outside. Carson Wentz is the problem. And the Colts tried to jumpstart this and go past the head of the line when they could have probably gotten the same results with Jacoby Brissett if they had gone this whole season.
That I believe. So does the seat for Frank Reich get hot heading into next season?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Because they have, if you're the Colts and you're looking around, the pressures now, you look at Jacksonville, whatever they bring in, they still had the number 1 last year. They'll have the number 1 this year. They'll have a new coach. People are going to be thinking that they could, turn something around. You look at the rest of that division, you already have to deal with Tennessee. You already have to deal with the rest of that a very tough AFC. So if you're the Colts, how long of a window do you have before you have to go through the inevitable cycle of rebuilding again? And you don't have a quarterback that you are confident about for the next 4 or 5 years. So it's not a pretty situation in Indianapolis. And that's for Frank Reich when you look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, what's interesting is Jim Irsay ain't that dude, bro. Jim Irsay will fire you and invite you to the new guys coming in party. So,
Look, he let Peyton Manning go. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they would cut the face of the franchise away while he was hurt and say, look, we moving on without you. Frank Reich ain't got that kind of love in Indianapolis.
I'm just letting y'all know. I think folks have forgot about who Jim Irsay is. So I'm just saying. All right, let's go to the I know you want to get to this one. Let's get to it now. The Saints did everything they could do yesterday. They did. To me, I'm going to be honest, it felt like it was too much, too little, too late. But they did go out on a win. They did have a shot to get into the playoffs. What are your thoughts?
It goes down as one of the best 9 and game over 500 seasons you're going to put out there.
Yeah.
when you talk about everything that they missed, and first they set the record for most starters missed in a single season. Most starters played in a single season. I think 58 different starters this season for the Saints. But it's not just that they missed starters, it's who. Yeah. You went down to the fourth string quarterback.
Yep.
And had to play a full game with the fourth string quarterback. They had a game where they had 22 people on COVID reserve. 22. And they still played that game and went out there and were competitive in it. They, against the Dolphins. You look at that, just what this team was able to do with no Jameis Winston, without Michael Thomas for the entire year, your number one wide receiver gone for the entire year, having lost your offensive line for essentially the entire season. You lost your head coach for a game. You lost your assistants for almost an entire week. And they still went 9-8 under perfect circumstances before the season went. The Saints, I thought they would be lucky to get 10. Mm-hmm. Following up losing Drew Brees and all that. They got to 9-8 with 4 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
To me, making the playoffs would have just been gravy. There's nothing to complain about if you're a Saints fan from the team perspective. You can talk about things that the league may have done, the decisions at certain times that did not benefit the Saints, which the league tends to do.
Yeah, they got to thank for the Saints on that.
But from a coaching perspective, and from people we shouldn't have lost that game to the Giants, and we shouldn't have lost this game to the Panthers. But you swept the Bucs. You beat the Packers 38-3. Take those and say, man, what can you complain about, really? You finished second place in the NFC South, which is likely, if somebody told you that before the season, we'd be like, oh, we must have had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
Well, you got 9-8. You went 5-2. You lost 5 games in a row, and you still had a winning season. There's nothing to complain about if you're a Saints fan. From your team's perspective, there is a lot to look forward to going forward. And if you are chasing Russell Wilson, New Orleans looks real attractive when you got a top 5 defense that everybody's going to essentially be back on next year. And if you can get something going with that offense, that's a team that nobody wants to play.
Yeah. So does Jameis Winston come back or no?
Jameis is worth a lot more money today than the price of the brick went up. We can talk. Look, you saw Jameis walking around on the sidelines in Atlanta yesterday. You saw him. Jameis is not going to come back for no $5 million. So if you want Jameis, you got to pay him starter money now. And somebody will offer Jameis off of 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Somebody's going to offer Jameis $15 to $20 million.
Yeah.
So the Saints are going to have to either pay for him or they have to make the trade. There's no in between for the Saints.
Yeah. I got you on that one. All right, let me go to this Chargers. I thought the Chargers were this team that everybody said nobody wanted to see in the playoffs. Well, nobody's going to see them in the playoffs. What are your thoughts there? What happened? What went wrong with them?
Again, you have to. Doesn't it feel funky? A year ago, Anthony Lynn getting fired, and here you are a year later. Now the Chargers any better off than they were a year ago? You're still outside the playoffs. You're sitting there 9-8. Defensively, they didn't get better. Look, I get that the Raiders can score points, but that's a dink and dunk offense too.
Right.
That's a dink and dunk offense. Even with all that speed, Derek Carr can't throw down the field. He throws to Hunter Renfrow every time he can because he's not going downfield. And so to let the Raiders put up points like that on you, that's disappointing. And yeah, Justin Herbert is as good a young quarterback as there is in the NFL. I enjoy watching Justin Herbert play.
Yeah.
But that team isn't ready yet. It just isn't. It does not impose its will. And that's ultimately going to be the separation between good and mediocre in football. Can you take over the game with your physicality in the second half? And they didn't.
3 young coaches that have lost their shine this year to me, which is my oh my goodness moment. Head coach of the Chargers, Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, and Sean McVay in LA.
Remember last year? Look, last year they said there was a quarterback was going to make all the difference. And you play this game against the 49ers at home. There needs to be a serious discussion about LA as a market, because all this desire to have LA as a market, and there were more 49ers fans in the building on the last day of the regular season.
Right.
For the 49ers than they are for the Rams. Nope. And then you have Matthew Stafford throw 2 picks, And people are like, well, he only had 2 minutes to go at the end of the second half, and then in overtime he underthrows. It was an underthrow. He had his. That's Matthew Stafford for you, though. As many pick six this year as Jameis Winston had his last year in Tampa. As many bad throws in bad games against winning teams. Again, Matthew Stafford loses games against winning teams. That's been his MO his entire career. He loses games against winning teams, and he lost the game yesterday against the 49ers when they were begging Jimmy Garoppolo just not to make mistakes.
Right. Just don't blow this for us.
And you end up getting beat up by Deebo Samuel. You get beat up by these 49ers who are a physical team. Again, you don't want to. That's the 49ers are one of those teams that you just don't like to play. But the Rams shouldn't. With all that talent, the money they spend on that defense, the money they spend on offense, to have Odell Beckham Jr., Cooper Kupp, all these guys. You bring back Cam Akers and you have all this, and you can't put up a 24 in overtime against the 49ers at home, and you had oh no, you still had an outside chance of trying. No, it just Sean McVay. It's looking like theory and practice are not the same thing. You know what's working in the lab. You can have all the overwhelming talent in the world, but 12-5 is not what they were paying for in Los Angeles this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I got you. Somebody just said that that Jameis Winston would be a good addition for the Rams.
They got Stafford, so they're not going to.
And he's under a whole lot of money because they just did him in Detroit, and they took that deal from there. So yeah, he's not going there. All right, real quick, let me take you through these games this coming weekend. Saturday. You've got the Raiders at the Bengals. Who wins that one and why?
I like the Bengals there. I think the Bengals win that one. Joe Burrow has it. You know, that's what you look for in superstar athletes, that's that thing. And Joe Burrow's a star. And Derek Carr is not. I think Derek Carr is a serviceable NFL quarterback. Joe Burrow has a chance to be the best quarterback in his generation, of the guys of his era coming forward. I think he's better than Trevor Lawrence. I think he's better than he has that thing. He walked in the door the same way he did at LSU, and he told those people, things going to be different now.
Yeah.
And they are in Cincinnati. It's different. There's a level of swagger that you have not seen in Cincinnati. We go past Carson Palmer. We go all the way back to when it was Boomer and those guys up in Cincinnati. That's what it feels like, that kind of level of intensity.
Patriots at Buffalo. Who wins that one?
Buffalo. Mac Jones ain't ready to go on the road and win a playoff game.
49ers at the Cowboys. Who wins that one?
I'm make some people upset. I think the 49ers can beat the Cowboys on the road.
Yeah. I just deleted Twitch, so all the Cowboy fans on Twitch are not going to come for you. So you know them Cowboy fans believe they're going to beat the 49ers. Steelers at the Chiefs. Who wins that one?
Chiefs. Ben Roethlisberger can't put up the points.
Eagles at the Buccaneers. Who wins that one?
Ooh. I think that game's going to be really close. I am not counting out the Eagles. Now, I have to see what the point spread is before I really decide. What's the point spread?
8.5.
I'll take the Eagles with the points. Give me the Eagles with the points. Today, I'm not saying they win it straight up, but give me the points. At 8.5, give it to them.
Cardinals at the Rams.
Ooh. This feels like another one that's a toss-up, too. What's the spread on that one right now? 4?
Hang on, I got to hit the top of the hour. Stay right there. Let me hit the top of the hour real quick.
The legendary 1148.
That feels like a 4-point game.
And 92.3 FM.
Coach!
222 CX Houston.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows entirely those of
Love to you, Coach.
callers who are entirely responsible.
Hey, I gotta let you know, man.
Do not
You was right about the scholarship deal.
KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff.
Right.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the
stand
lunch
corrected.
break on the legendary KYOK. I'll do 92.3 FM, streaming live, KYOKradio.org. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Roku. That's right. If you got a Roku streaming device, just look for BS3 TV. Download that. You're going to see some great shows. One of them will be the lunch break. We're right in the middle of your big screen. Had to add Coach in here because he and David were so powerful. I still got people talking about last Monday's show with you two. But so you asked me a question, Coach. Let me get him this real quick. It's a 4-point spread for the Rams. Rams are a 4-point favorite in this one. Who you got?
I'll take the Cardinals. Give it to me. Let's take it because I'm not betting on Matthew Stafford. I can't do it. I watched that man for too long. I'm a Lions fan. I know what Matthew Stafford is. I can't bet on him. Can't do it.
Now you talking to a quarterback here on the other side of you right there. This man started at quarterback in high school, started quarterback in college, and Coach, what do you think about him saying he can't depend on that quarterback like that?
Hey, I've been hearing about Mike Stafford all this morning on every show, and
you're talking down on him.
I gotta agree. He just can't get it done.
Wow.
He just can't get it done for the big.
The sample size is too big now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's had the chance, and he had a full year with the best talent in the NFL, and he still underperformed in the biggest games of the season for the Rams. Every game that they lost, there's a direct tie to how he played in that game. He underachieved in those games. He needed to come up. Where was his 400-yard, 5-touchdown game in a big one? We've seen that out of Tom Brady this year. Right. Seen Patrick Mahomes this year. Seen it out of Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah.
When did you Dak Prescott? When did you see it out of him?
You know what? One of the things that I grade my quarterback on, like I tell him, I throw the stats. The only stat I'm worried about is W's. That's what you grade. You grade a quarterback out of pass percentage, and is he winning football games? And Stafford is just not winning football games when it counts.
Now, Coach, let me ask you a question about that. We kind of slide into our HBCU Stroll with the Coach Johnnie Cole. Let me ask you about that. Down here with head coach David Culley, after every game, he'll say, well, Davis Mills did what we asked him to do. He protected the football. He didn't turn the ball over. But then I'm looking at the game and I'm looking at the score, and yeah, y'all came back, and yeah, y'all made it close. But for a while there, all he was doing was losing. He only won 2 games as a starter. Tyrod Taylor won 2 games as a starter. Davis Mills has more interceptions than Tyrod Taylor. So isn't there something a little bit more than just not turning the ball over?
Well, the thing about it is Mills is the future. Tyrod Taylor he's just a guy just filling in and figure out what they're going to do with Watson. So, he's going to get a lot more leeway than Tyrod Taylor is.
Yeah, you got facts right there. All right, David, we shifted. Coach, Deion Sanders did it again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. Deion Sanders, Coach Sanders, primetime, did it again. Got another top recruit. Is it time for folks to stop saying that HBCU coaches and schools can't recruit top college athletes?
Yeah, hey, he's doing a great job. I mean, he's getting in the homes. But, I want people to understand that there's only one Deion Sanders, just one, and he would be exciting to come in my house. I remember when I was young and my brother was one of the top football players in the country. And Woody Hayes came in my home. Tom Osborne came in my home. Bo Schembechler came in my home. Well, these are the same guys you seen on TV and was winning championships. So I was ecstatic. I mean, I was wrapped around they could have just signed me as well. So when he comes in your home, it makes a big difference. And he has the backing of everything he says that he can deliver, and he will deliver.
So that being said, got Coach Johnnie Cole, got David Grubb here on our HBCU Stroll. That being said, is there a ripple effect that can affect Southern, that can affect Grambling, that can affect Alcorn, that can affect Prairie View, and I guess I got to throw them in there because of what you got on your shirt, that'll affect Texas Southern?
I think they, like, you look at it, well, sure, Hugh Jackson up at Grambling, when he walks into your door, he's going to bring in his NFL experience. He's going to talk to you about the guys that he's worked with and developed on that regard. That's what you're trying to sell to a lot. If you're trying to get top tier guys, you're saying, you come here, you'll still have the opportunity to compete to get to the NFL. Because that's what the perception you have to get past at the door is at an HBCU, is that if I go to your school, nobody's going to see me. Well, Deion has said, you come to Jackson State, You're gonna get seen by those NFL scouts. You're gonna win here. We're gonna compete. You can get that opportunity. That's the same thing Hugh Jackson is gonna say. That's the same thing Pete Richardson was able to do for a lot of years at Southern. That's the same thing that we've seen coaches have that opportunity. And it is a personality thing first and foremost. That's why there are very few Nick Sabans, very few Deion Sanders who can go into anybody's house and pull a kid out of there. But I think, it's going to be, can the administrations and the business folks, as the world of name, image, and likeness, and as we get more, the financial ties get loosened, are the administrations and business communities going to be there to support those decisions? Because that's going to be the deciding factor going forward. Can you give the same type of support that the other schools are giving me? Because the opportunity, TV cameras will follow, sure, but can the dollars follow? And the kids want to make sure that the dollars are following too. And that'll be the big test. I think it'll be the same as it is across college football. There will be some HBCUs that do benefit greatly. There will others who will follow in like any type of jet stream. They will get sucked up in the success of others. And there will be some, because they don't have the business structure and they don't have the type of leadership in the president's office or the athletic director's office, that will continue to fail. But I think there is an opportunity. It's just you cannot make a decision if you're hiring an Eddie George, a Deion Sanders, a Hugh Jackson. Don't just hire them because of their name. You better make sure you have put the support systems in place and administrators to teach those coaches what it means to work with the NCAA, what it means to work at these levels, and what the rules and guidelines are. And have you put in a structure to get facilities on task? Have you produced a structure that's going to get alumni engaged in getting kids internships and getting business opportunities in your area? Are you doing those things? That'll be the test going forward. If Jackson State, if Grambling, if Southern, if Texas Southern, if all these schools can, Tennessee State can continue to evolve going forward in this, that's going to be the test.
Coach, I know you loved every bit of that. Go ahead. I want to hear your comment.
I mean, we've been talking about this for months, and these guys jumped the line. Deion jumped the line, but Deion jumped the line with the support behind it. He has the Fortune 500 companies behind him. He has a name. He has the personality. I wouldn't say that the same for Hugh Jackson and Eddie George. And like you said, you got to put a guy in there, a head coach in there that understands not just the NCAA rules, the new portal thing is going on, just the whole aspect of a program. And if you can't go in that home and sell those people, it just ain't going to happen for everybody else. It is a plus to see the kids choosing Jackson State. That's the plus, but stop right there. Like David said, if the support's not there, if you get a big time kid and he goes there and things are not right, it just take one of them to go to the media and say, man, and then here we go again. Black colleges is backing up another 3 or 4 steps. And that's what I'm afraid of. And I know it's coming. And that's why, it's important that choosing that head job is not about a name. It's about a guy that can do the job.
Yeah. We got Coach Johnnie Cole taking the HBCU Stroll, David Grubb in with us as well. Coach, you did that when you coached at Texas Southern. You went into some of these homes and got players that, a lot of folks wonder, well, how did he get him? How did he get him? How were you able to sell that before the portal and before name, image, and likeness and things like that?
Of course, Texas Southern had a traditional winning program, so I had to sell myself. And first of all, when I send my coaches out to recruit, I made sure they either had a tie on or a jacket. When they walked in there, I didn't want them to say, oh, that's a black college coach. I wanted them to walk in there and say, that's a college coach that have something to offer. And then once I sold myself, and then Texas Southern being in the city that it is, got so many Fortune 500 companies, 4 million people, and then I was able to sell the university because I done my homework on the university, not that because I was there as well, but all the superstar players, back in 1970, I know it's far back then, but we had the number 1 and number 2 draft choice. I talk about I talk about if you could just close your eyes for a minute and think, when you get finished your 4 years at an institution, will you want to come back to Houston for homecoming, or do you want to go to Itabena, or do you want to go to some small, up in Pierre, Illinois? And I tell you a story about, my brother graduated from University of Nebraska, first African American captain, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Astro, all the bowls, and I always say, well, how many times have you been back there since you graduated? They don't. I think you might have been back twice in 40 years. But then when you go back twice, it's like, well, who you know? When you go to a black college, you mean doctors, lawyers, pharmacists, teachers, instructors. And these people that you're going to deal with, I can ask you guys. I'm not racist enough, but most of my friends are African Americans. People I deal with is African Americans. That's just how life is.
No, I think for players, you look at it and it's when you see these things, and I look at a guy like a Billy Sims who goes to Norman all the time. I think lives probably near Norman, but that's a hero worship type thing. And I think, he's the exception. Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, all those things that he gets to have. But like you said, for the average black person, you can't go back to Norman. You can't go back to Lincoln. There's nothing for you there. They're not going. They may tell you, hey, you had some great games back in the day for us. But when it comes to, I need a job at your bank, we ain't got no jobs here at the bank. I need a job in this office, we ain't got no jobs here at the office. So that's when it changes. And like I firmly agree, having worked in in the environment of an HBCU, there is that forever connection. If you played one game at a HBCU, there's somebody who remembers you that they taught you in a class, 10 years prior. You were in my philosophy class. I remember you such and such. There's that level of connection that you're not going to get at a PWI.
And it's almost like a reverse heroism. When I played, I did well, and I had, my classmates and stuff. But when I go back now, I get more people telling me about plays I made and he played quarterback. And I mean, it's a great feeling. I wouldn't lie to anybody. It's a great feeling, and I love to go back to homecoming. And unfortunately, we're not doing well now, but just the individualism and seeing guys I played with, and seeing guys that went on to be lawyers and doctors and all that kind of good stuff that I could intertwine with and make a phone call and make something happen.
Hey, David, I've walked in the building with him, and it's like rolling with a rock star, bro. It's like rolling with a rock star. I'm looking, where you at, Coach? He back there hugging and I'm like, Coach, I thought you wrote. Listen,
it's a relationship business.
Well deserved. Listen, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we want to talk just a little bit more about how some of these schools are set up, and then we're gonna jump over to the basketball side because David, he started in basketball as well too. So we'll be back as we take our HBCU stroll with the Coach Johnnie Cole, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, right here on the lunch break. We'll be right back.
If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt, then listen up. We can reduce or eliminate your interest rates. Cut your monthly payment up to 50% and stop all late fees.
Got
Our
a real
company
good
has
question.
been helping good people just like you get out of debt for over
Real
30
good question.
years. Don't get stressed out. If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt and medical bills, we can show you a way to reduce all of your bills to one lower monthly payment that you can afford. So again, if you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt and medical bills you can't afford, make this free call today and learn how you can finally get out of debt. Call now for your free consultation. 800-638-7112. 800-638-7112. 800-638-7112. That's 800-638-7112. Sponsored by Credit Card. Life can be full of risks.
One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legend continues.
Hey, you want some sports with your lunch? Well, tune in to the legendary KYOK at the lunch break. And I'm Raven Rogers.
Raven Rogers, Olympic bronze medal in the 800 meters. She was the 5-time indoor and outdoor champ in the 800 meters at the University of Oregon, Skull Ducks. Also a graduate from Kincaid High School, sending her a whole lot of love. All right, real quick, I got the Coach Johnnie Cole and David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint. We're taking our HBCU Stroll. I got a real good question from an HBCU alum. Said, can you ask Coach Cole and David to expound on how Grambling alum could help with NIL for college? I was just talking to my daughter about her NIL for women's golf at Fisk.
I mean, you've seen companies, whether it's at the University of Miami, we've seen other college programs where alumni have come in and said, I'm going to take on the whole program. And they'll say, look, you all endorse my product or you work my business, and everybody gets played. There's a certain criteria that you have to meet, whether it's social media engagement or appearances, whatever. And those alumni set a reasonable bar for the money that they're going to contribute. Nobody's asking anybody to give more than they can. But if you own a law practice and you want advertising, you got somebody, or you own a restaurant or something, and you want a student who can get involved and can represent your business at your, you can reach out to the athletic program, and there are ways for them to create a legal way for you to support that athlete or group of athletes, however you choose. So, all you have to do is call the university. If you want to get involved, you say, I got money. Somebody in that office is going to figure out how to get your money. I mean, like let's be real. If you say you got it to give, somebody in the office will know the way for you to give it. So just make the call. If you have a business and you want to be involved, call the athletic department, call the university president's office. They will put you in guidance and contact with the right person. Trust.
Coach Johnnie Cole, this is a new thing than when you coach, but how involved would you be in making sure your players were getting taken care of on NIL right now if you were coaching?
Well, first of all, I would definitely be involved with knowing from A through Z, and I would bring some type of lawyer in orientation to make the kids understand and your top players. I think I would give the parents the knowledge of it as well. I think that would be important because this thing I don't like it personally. I don't. I think that every player should get paid some money, because it can bring a bad thing in your program where you got one kid got this contract and he's riding around in this fancy car, and then you got all these other kids who support him on the field not getting that attention. I think that's a bad thing. And the thing that we talked about, David, I want to make sure I don't want to give anybody bad information on our podcast. Is you were right about the scholarship deal. When I was coaching, I think this was just past my day, that you couldn't get rid of a kid for his performance. Now, if a kid ain't performing, I mean, you could walk right in there and say, hey, son, bye, I see you. you're not living up to what we see. And I just, that's bad. I just think that's bad, because you might have a kid that's academically sound, doing everything he want in the program, and maybe he ain't figuring out. Maybe he got some other issues, and the coach can walk in there and say, hey, man, look, we need that scholarship. That's a bad thing. And I don't like it. But I do think the players need to get paid. I wish it was somewhere where we can pay people across the board, because you got the University of Texas have put together a team alumni to go raise $50 million. You got a team over at SMU to raise $20 or $30 million to be able to pay these athletes. And I just think we ain't gonna be able to compete. And it's just an ugly situation, and it's just gonna get uglier.
It's funny you say that, because the one person who's saying that there needs to be federal oversight, NCAA oversight, is Nick Saban,
but
coach of Alabama.
See, Nick Saban is being disingenuous, though.
I agree, and that's why I said that's kind of like the well. Let me use the right analogy. That's kind of like the somebody like a Nick Saban who wants it all for himself. You're already an imbalance in the league. You're already the imbalance. So for you saying that this would create some further imbalance, you mean you're going to lose out on some players that you would have normally gotten, as opposed to you getting first crack at everybody. Whatever you don't want, let them fight over. So, but again, there's some commentary about there needing to be some type of federal or at least association oversight.
But these same universities fought against the federal mandate for NIL when it was first come up. That the NCAA fought on their behalf, and it was the Power 5 conferences who sat on the side of the NCAA to stop NIL. So knowing that this was coming, when the federal government wanted to intervene and set new guidelines for this, and to establish that players were in fact entitled to employment benefits, they didn't want to do that then. This is more response to what's going on at Jackson State. That's what this is really about. For these coaches, there's, like you said, they're seeing, for Nick Saban, it's about the potential of losing number 1 and number 2 recruits to schools that you don't want to lose them to. But to say that it's about an imbalance of power in college sports, that imbalance has existed and will continue to exist. There are only 10 or 12 programs who make money in Division I football. There are only 10 or 12 that make money straight up. Everybody else is losing money chasing this idol of college football. So the Alabama's going to make money no matter what. Texas is going to make money, like you said. LSU, Ohio State, Michigan, they're going to make money no matter who's printing it. Alabama's not concerned, really. Come on, they've been in the national championship game how many times in the last decade? And they're talking about the imbalance of power. Nick Saban was just talking about the college playoff doesn't make sense to expand because we're whooping these people too bad already. And he's talking about an imbalance of power. The imbalance has already existed, man. They're only like so.
I mean, when you talking about recruiting, when your coach is on movies, on commercials, every time you turn the TV on, put me on the commercial. Put some black college coach on the commercial. It's crazy. It's always been that way, and they keep writing the rules, expanding the rules, changing the rules. This with what Deion Sanders did was getting that top recruit man. That set them folks on fire, and they gonna make sure that it ain't gonna happen. And I'm calling this one out. Jackson State gonna be under some type of rule violation in another 6 or 7 months.
No,
just calling it out.
No,
I'm calling it out. That's what you think.
You're probably right.
There's gonna be an investigation of some sort. There's gonna be an investigation because you look at it and you say, as soon as these deals got made, what were all the sub comments about these 2 students taking their talents to Jackson, Mississippi? Oh, those are NIL deals. Oh, those are NIL deals. But nobody was saying that when Bryce Young black man, goes to Alabama, and at the start of SEC media days, Nick Saban's talking, we got a quarterback who hasn't taken a snap yet, and he's got $1 million in endorsements. Well, that was to sell Alabama. That wasn't to bemoan the system. Nick Saban was acting like, oh, this is terrible. But he's saying that at SEC Media Day so that people know. You walk in the door as the quarterback at Alabama, there's $1 million waiting for you.
That's right.
So, don't play me like that, Nick Saban.
Out of Texas, who had an NIL deal in high school had to reclassify, graduate early, jump up to Ohio State where he didn't want to be so he wouldn't lose his money. And what does he do? Without playing, well, he played a few downs in that last game. Now he's transferred back to Texas. Nobody said anything then about the money. Coach, you're probably right. The HBCUs will get smacked on the hand and be put on probation and restrictions, while these other schools will be just fine.
Is it any difference than what happened at SMU? You know, y'all lived that. What happened at SMU in the 80s? That SMU wasn't the cheating program. It wasn't the only one in the Big 8 in the Southwest Conference that was cheating.
All I know is
they started beating them top.
They beat the wrong people.
That's what happened.
They beat the wrong people. Right. Alabama's been on probation more times than anybody, and nobody has ever put death penalty on Alabama.
They got a violation every year, 1 or 2 or 3.
They ain't shutting down Alabama.
Nobody says
you ain't
nothing.
shutting down Ohio State. You ain't shutting down those schools.
Y'all hold that thought. I got to take another break. I'm coming back real quick with these two. The Coach Johnnie Cole on the HBCU Stroll and David Grubb hosts the Hard to Paint right here on the lunch break.
Looking to start a business from side hustles to
no. They're going to be in Jackson by the dozen. It's going to look like a freedom march. Hey. All these white dudes coming down Jackson.
Look, they're gonna pay somebody like us to be a mole. I'm telling you.
There's somebody in there who's going to tell the story that I was Deion's bag man and I dropped some cash off at such and such's house on behalf of Jackson State. It's coming.
Because I'm telling you, when they done that, they changed the APR rule. Don't worry about people graduating no more. They changed the graduation, how many scholarships you can sign. Those who stay underneath your equipment.
Success now. Call 800-419.
It's the Wild Wild West now.
95344.
And these white boys are worried.
123.
One got off the plantation and went to Jackson. Now they got to stop them all. They got to stop them all for these Negroes get their own minds and start going to schools that we didn't tell to. Because isn't it a shock that all these white folks who have no desire, they want to talk about bad about college educated people all the time, they're snobs and they're elites and all stuff, but they care about college football so much because of that plantation system, man.
Yeah,
they want to watch black boys run.
It's just gonna get out of control to me, you know. And then you talking about young folks with money riding around in cars, and I don't have a car, and you got a car, and I'm telling you, it's gonna get ugly. But you can't tell the kids that no more because they'll leave.
Do something good for the vets.
You know, the big college convention is down in San Antonio this weekend,
and your old car.
And the coaches started telling me about what's the new recruiting. You got the big schools recruiting the Division I's, double A's, and seeing who was the MVP of the league. Then they recruit that kid. That's crazy.
That's what
they recruited Division I, Division II kids.
They mad about the transfer portal, but they want to use it. That's the thing, is they mad when their kid leaves, but they don't mind going shopping in it. They go shopping in it quick as can be.
Man, it's Wild Wild West, man.
It's a hypocritical system, and they know it. But as long as they make the money off of it, and we don't, they're good with it.
Join me Saturdays for great fun.
The minute we get a little bit,
in the latest news surrounding our world today, we are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation.
And you see it again. You see the power imbalance where the black coaches at in the college football ranks right now. Where are they? Are any of them involved in these high-level conversations about these athletes? Because they ain't none in the power.
Oh, yeah.
Where's James Franklin? Where is he talking about this stuff? Nowhere to be found.
You're having
he ain't Nick Saban.
lunch here on the lunch break. On the legendary KYOK.
All right, y'all. We back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Streaming live, KYOKradio.org, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Roku TV. That's right. If you got a Roku streaming device, all you got to do is look for BS3 TV. Download that, click on it. You'll see a whole lot of good shows on there. One of them is the lunch break. We're glad to be a part of the BS3 family here at KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Got some good ones, man. I got folks telling me, hold on, let me see what this text message said. They like y'all. They like y'all. They said, man, you got another good show. I was going into a meeting. Now I'll have to miss the end. Y'all are hilarious, bro.
I love talking with Coach, man. I talk to Coach all the time. This is my dude.
Look, I like talking to my man, because look, this stuff been going on forever. And I was a coach, so I had to play the political role and not say anything. So it's good. And it makes me feel good that somebody else is knowing what's going on.
Yeah. No, Coach, you're right. And you have been sounding the alarm on this kind of stuff for a long, long time. So that being said, I know we're talking about HBCU Stroll, but let me use this as an example. Cardell Jones, former quarterback at The Ohio State University, is going back to the university and basically establishing a UIL ally to the university. So he and some of the other businesses in the area are going to put together a pool of money so that The Ohio State University players will get access to NIL money. Coach, I'm calling our good friend, our mutual bestie, Kevin Granger, after the show and saying, yo, I need to be the head director of the NIL department at Texas Southern University so we can make sure them Tigers have access to that money.
Man, that's so important, and that's so the new thing about college athletics. And don't think Cardell Jones, he's just the head. He got some big time backers behind. I'm Ohio State Buckeye man. He's just the front guy.
Yeah.
So he got some guys that they probably gonna raise 40, 50 million to start paying the players legally, paying them legally. But we do have to expand our athletic department to be able to keep up. And I just don't know if we're ready for that. We're caught now on this this copycat, let's hire a guy with NFL experience. So I don't understand. I don't think they understand that what comes with that. We got to have some people in place so these kids won't get mistreated. And we ain't even talk about taxes on this money that they make it. Man, that's a whole, we just talking about giving them some money. They don't understand that all that money ain't yours. You're going to have to give some of that back.
Yeah.
So,
and again, you bring up good points on it's more than just the end result. There's a whole lot of steps to get to that point. Coach, so, and David, I definitely want you to jump in on that.
And let me just say this one thing. We don't even have enough athletic directors. You can't go in there with just one athletic director. You need 2 or 3 or 4 athletic directors.
Yeah. It has to start at the
right.
Yeah, it's got to start at the SWAC level.
Sports at our level.
Right.
Yeah, the SWAC has a conference, or the whichever conferences we're talking about, or whichever individual schools. You got to marshal this is where you marshal your resources.
Right.
So if you're the HBCUs and you say we want to do this, there's a competitive instinct that you don't want to help other universities too much. But as HBCUs, knowing that you have a unique network, there are ways that you need to share resources. There are companies that you could partner with and have people work on consignment, essentially, of you have dedicated to bringing this amount of revenue to our students this year through NIL. You don't get paid unless you hit that number.
Yeah.
When that's the case, then all of a sudden the money starts coming in. But for Texas Southern, you have a Michael Strahan, who gets the benefit and gets to have his image on things whenever we talk about the great HBCU football players, who has more access to Fortune 500 companies around this country as a black face than Michael Strahan. So he needs to be, somebody needs to engage him. And you can't, whether he wants to do it or not, I don't know. But somebody has to engage with him on a real level and say, we need you. We need you to pick up the phone for us. We don't need you to walk us across the finish line, but we need you to pick up the phone and get the door open so that your university can benefit from this. We ain't asking for your money directly, but use your influence.
That's another show that we're going to have to talk about how we celebrate our heroes. We don't do a good job of that, and we don't do a good job of keeping up with our history. You walk on my campus at Texas Southern University, you don't see none of that. You might go to the gym and see a couple of banners up or something like that, but you don't go to a place like North Carolina, Alabama, where you walk into a room where you see nothing but paraphernalia and championships and guys from the past. And that's one of our issues on the HBCU campus. We don't give back. Because we don't give back because our university don't see the importance of reaching out. And here we go in this situation. We need, we got more players than Mike Strahan. And one year when I was coaching in 1990, we had 22 players sign NFL contracts. We got a pharmacy school that we got pharmacists all over Texas. We got a law school, the lawyers are all over Texas, but we don't embrace them. We got to find a way to embrace these people and keep in touch with these people as they leave the university.
And if part of it is kissing their behinds a little bit,
yes.
Like you said, if you gotta change the stadium in Itabena to Jerry Rice Stadium to get Jerry Rice to throw some cash.
Texas back 50 years ago, he can still go back there. And
he's a dang state legend, right? He's a designated Texas hero. So if the state of Mississippi, if you look at, you have Walter Payton's family and that legacy that they have at Jackson State, and you have Jerry Rice, like you said, that's just going back to the farthest reaches. But you have these guys, Jake Reed, from Grambling in the 80s and 90s, who played with those great Vikings teams. Why are those guys not face forward and at the front of the communications about their programs? It's because the universities have done a very poor job. And they're out, and part of it is resources, but part of it is them being intentional about recruiting your own alumni.
Yes. That's what happened to me at my university. Should have never happened.
Right.
You could have not wanted me to be your coach, but you don't treat your alumni the way you treat me. I done something great there.
I agree.
And you don't do that.
And that's why I say I feel like you've got to have someone who that's their responsibility. You have community development people at the university to help, build buildings and get donations for the university and what have you. You literally need someone in that athletic department that is a community development person for the athletic department so that they can bring in revenue for NIL deals. They can bring in revenue for better stadiums and better and better facilities and better.
It's all the little things though too. It's ongoing. It's about when you hear alumni and they say, I couldn't get tickets.
Right.
No former player should ever have to, these are the simple things that don't cost you money, but they're relationship built. Former player asks for a ticket, you give them two.
Right.
That's how it always goes. Because there's empty seats in your stadium every Saturday. So give them I'm serious. Everybody knows that we got 35,000, 40,000 seat stadiums that only getting 20 on the weekend or 15. Give out two more of those tickets to those alumni who say they want to be there in the parking lot because that's a chance that they're going to buy a beer. They're going to buy a program. They're going to buy a jersey. They're going to buy something because even you gave up that $20 cost of that ticket. I spent $50 in parking and in food and bringing people on the campus that you might not have had before.
And one important thing, and I guess one of the things that I guess people look down on me at is you got to know your culture. Black folks hang out in churches. Well, Johnnie Cole was in some church every Sunday, and asking the preacher, can I get up in the pulpit just to say when we play? I had a thing about giving back, giving money. And, they don't hang out at the golf place per se. They don't hang out at the YMCA. You got to go where they are. They hang out at clubs, bars.
Barbershop.
I was there. I was there with tickets in my hand, selling my program. You can say what you want to say. And we can't be afraid of that. We get educated and we get dumb. We forget where we come from. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't too good for that grassroots. And I'm not saying that
every black person there, but that's where they are. You got to get out from that chair, get off that campus, and go sell your program and be able to stand up on top of the table and say, I love the university.
It's not public service. You can't ask people to come to your games because they love you. You got to give them a reason. And sometimes that means you got to give something up. And if you got to go to the high schools and say, here, this is your week. In Houston area, we got this many high schools. Well, 4 this week, we target 6, over here. And this is your week to come in free to watch a game. Whatever you got to do to get people in the building, you get them in there one time, you give folks a good show, you treat them right, and they'll come back.
We had two major promoters on the show And that's the one thing they both told us. It ain't about a game no more. You got to make it an event. So those are things that we got to catch up on, and like you said, AJ, and hopefully your Harvey is your assistant. If they put you over NILs and we can go get it. I ain't never lost it none. Jacks, walking fast, we can go get it, and we'll take David with us.
I got. We
Listen,
do this.
I got to take one more break. When we come back, we got to talk some basketball. I got the Coach Johnnie Cole. We're taking an HBCU Stroll. David Grubb, keep it up with him. I'm bringing up the rear. We'll be right back right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Well, I hope you are enjoying your weekend. Hey, everybody, it's Erica Campbell.
And I'm Greg from Get Up Mornings.
We want to thank you so much for rocking with us every weekday morning.
And after you enjoy your weekend, make sure you start your
you incentivize that. I think that, people really don't know that there are guys who are willing to do that hustle. Men and women who are willing to go out there and hustle and raise their money right now.
I tell you, David, our presidents, ADs, they need seminars on what's going on in sports because they are not taking, athletics been the vehicle for blacks since Jesse Owens won back in 1936 track meets. The show Hitler that black folks are for real and Americans are much better than Germans. And my feeling for black, when I got them, it's like we push away from that. When I first came to TSU's campus, it was like, oh, we don't like the athletes. Y'all get this free and y'all do this free. And you looking at the glass half full. And we don't embrace it. We don't embrace it at black schools. That's how they passed us up. They started taking our athletes in the late 60s, in the 70s, and started taking them.
And they took the avenue to middle class away because they took those kids and turned them into just athletes, whereas in Eddie Robinson, those types of coaches, they were not allowing those young men to pass through their halls and leave without the education, knowing that most of them weren't going to go to the NFL, weren't going to play. And even that wasn't a viable financial. You wasn't going to set you up for life. You know what I mean? You knew that even if you played 10 years in the NFL, these coaches are telling you perspective, you got 50 more years of living after that.
I'm glad you said that. And that's my only problem with Deion Sanders. That's the mentality he's bringing to black college. It's about getting drafted, making the NFL. Black college is bigger than that.
If you can do both, great. But once you walk on their campus, you need to understand we're going to do both for you. We're going to, because the mold is you go to the Power 5, they may be selling you that NFL, but they don't care about your education.
No.
That's why you're all taking general studies. Like your parents did not send you to the school to be a general studies major.
Hey, David, it's general studies, but they just gave it a new name. They'll call it hotel and reservations and park recreation.
Let them take classes in football.
Y'all having y'all own show, man. I'm gonna put y'all on the green room. I'm gonna start taking y'all down, put y'all in the green room. Man, these cats right here are something else. I love it, man. It's the Coach Johnnie Cole and the HBCU Stroll. David Grubb hanging out with us. Host of Hard in the Paint, MLBBro.com, and the voice of Tulane basketball. And I got some of these messages that I wanted to give you guys. All right, here we go. This cat right here said, listen, you guys are bringing up some good points, but can y'all get this kind of information over to these schools' athletic department? This brother said he graduated from Valley, and they don't have nothing going on about like what we're talking about. I know you got friends over at Valley, Coach. What does a school like Mississippi Valley State have to do to keep up with this name, image, and likeness and some of the other stuff we're talking about?
Well, again, I think they need to hire some qualified folks and quit depending on, we can't pay nobody. There's a lot of good folks out there that wants to work in HBCUs. You got to go after the best and quit settling. I think Valley has got into that mode, or I'm settled. You got two of the greatest players that ever played in black college football, right. Willie Todd and Jerry Rice. You got Coach Washington up in North Carolina A&T, who's a legend. you got a whole bunch of players that have came out there and graduates.
Right.
And these people are not getting off their butt. They're getting these jobs because they're friends of people and all that, and getting in there and settling in and saying, oh, I'm just going to get a paycheck. But if you start lighting the fire under these people, you're going to go by wins and losses. You're going to go by what you do. These ADs and these black college footballs, along with these persons, got to go raise some money.
Yep.
And quit putting it on, oh, let me get this star player over here. Let me bring this person in. They got to get out and go raise some money.
And they got to demonstrate the value.
If their paycheck was based on them raising money, or at the end of their contract, how much money, if you ain't raised as much as money as we paying you, then we need to go get somebody else. That's what an athletic director is for.
Yeah.
You know, we get athletic director for, and they all sitting around like they Jerry Jones. Well, Jerry Jones is a multi-billionaire, and he goes and get money. Yeah. And that's why he can say what he can say and do what he do. You know, you got these ADs sitting back and
sells his program whether he's winning or losing. Jerry Jones makes the Dallas Cowboys relevant when they're 6-11 and when they're 11-6. Either one.
Yes, no question.
He's selling a brand,
right.
But you know, the job of a university president, first and foremost, is to raise money. That's the job of a university president. Same with the athletic director. First and foremost, their job is to raise money for the program and to make sure that it complies with the rules that govern it. If you're not raising the money, then you're failing at your job. It's that simple. And if you don't get, like you said, there are a lot of people who are coming out of colleges right now who want to work in the sports industry, in a world that they understand now that there are more jobs in sports or sports adjacent than there have ever been. You can get people who are willing to hunt those dollars down for you. And like you say, you pay them on the basis of their work, and you set the standard that Jackson State or Mississippi Valley State or Texas Southern or whomever, Fisk, it doesn't matter. What is your standard? Because it's not enough to have Todd Day as the head basketball coach at Philander Smith if you're not using Todd Day to get you money. If you got Kenny Anderson, the head coach at Fisk on the basketball side, but you're not using Kenny to get you access into those New York businesses that he knows, or to the NBA partners that he's met, and those types of things. If you're not helping Kenny get to that, you're not growing his value as a coach, you're not growing your university's value, and you're not helping your kids long term.
Here's an example. We had Doug Williams. On Doug Williams' 25th year of winning the Super Bowl, the first black quarterback, we fired him third game after the year. You mean to tell me nobody in the athletic program said, hold on, this is a fundraising opportunity. We can get the NFL, we can bring everybody down to Grambling. Man, we can raise $100,000, $200,000. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We do not do what we're supposed to do. Texas Southern sits in a city of 4 million people. 4 million. All we asking for is 4%. To come over and show us some love, and we'll be okay. We understand that everybody can't be Texas, everybody can't be Alabama, but it's no reason why we should be looking for money, because we're not hiring the people who understands the dynamics of athletics. If you go to an athletic department and you ain't got no Hall of Fame wall or anything sitting there, you don't do a Hall of Fame banquet every year, you don't do banquets for the kids every year, you're gonna have a poor athletic program.
Gentlemen, I gotta switch to basketball real quick. The SWAC right now. Southern and Baton Rouge acts like they don't want to lose in the SWAC. They're 3-0. Alcorn 2-0. Texas Southern finally got a big win at home. Their first home game of the season. They're 2-1. Then you got Grambling, Alabama State, Alabama A&M at 2-1. Coach, I know you say you know basketball.
Yes, sir.
As we get started in SWAC play, do you think Southern is going to stay on top, or will Texas Southern get where they were last year?
No, sir. The preseason rankings, you had Texas Southern 1, you had Prairie View 2, you had Jackson State, who's in last place right now in the East, number 3. You had Grambling 4, and Southern is the only in the top 5 that's doing something. But you can't count Prairie View out. They've lost 3 games to COVID. So they really hadn't played a game. I'm sorry, and then they lost. They end up losing in overtime to Southern. But Texas Southern will prevail. When you look and see, the strongest is on the west side. They got the better basketball programs than the East. And right now, A&M's up there at Alabama State, but they're beating the bottom teams. So once that schedule, we start getting in the thick of things, you'll start seeing those good teams like Texas Southern and Southern. Hopefully, Jackson State's sitting at 0-3. I don't know what the problem's there, but they've lost some. They've lost, 2 of the SWAC games already, and they sitting there in last place. So, but and Alcorn has always been having a steady program. Since the days of what's the coach there? Matter of fact, I was playing back in them days. I'll think of his name before we get off. But look for the teams in the West to start winning more games, and those guys that was picked in the top will start winning as well.
David, I know you kind of keep up with it over there. Southern looking pretty solid right now, basketball-wise. What are your thoughts? Where do you think this will end up?
Yeah, Southern is a very good basketball team. They beat Tulane earlier this year. And Tulane is a team that's 3-1 in its conference right now. And then Tulane has some very good players on there.
Right.
There's Jalen Forbes, outstanding player. That Southern team is good. And you tend, when you look at the SWAC schools, and when you have to do this with all HBCU schools and their preseason schedules, you got schools that spent their entire preseason on the road.
Right.
Like the entire preseason, all 11, 12 preseason games, they travel to schools to take their money and take their behind whoopings to keep their programs going. So now you start to see what teams really are, because it's hard to build confidence when you're always on the road and you're taking in these adverse situations. Now, once you get into conference play, teams you're familiar with, teams you're supposed to compete with, your talent level starts to even back out, and you see who really is going to rise to the top. But Southern's going to be there at the end. Look, they're going to. A lot of these teams are going to find their way, but I'm not going to sleep on those Jags.
Southern's always had a philosophy that they never really went out and played a lot of top 8 teams and then come into conference play. You see some of the teams are 1-12, 1-11, 2-8. They've always been able to come into the in conference play, kind of even keel. They were sitting at 8-7. Coming into conference play, or 6-5 coming into conference play, and be able to win some games. Great fan base, good young coach down there that's gonna get things going. And the thing is at Alabama State, Mo Williams has been struggling down there, struggling. Yeah. They ready to ring. They ready to ring. He's coming there with the pro background again, and just hadn't done well. But he's off to a good start. So that's a team that you can keep your eye on.
Yeah. One of the things I will say about Southern, they got some quality wins, but they also have some quality losses. Did not lose. Like you said, they beat Tulane. They lost to Louisville by 12. Where's the other game? Kentucky. They lost by 12. They didn't get blown out in that one. And then a very good Dayton Flyer team, they only lost by 9. And then they turned around and beat Texas Southern by 13 points at home. So, that's a team that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, because like you said, Coach, I didn't have them in my top, 5 rankings in the SWAC. The 2 teams that I had 1 and 2 got a little work to do to get caught up.
Oh, yeah. Well, Prairie View got to get well,
Right.
Well, Coach, he's going to have to do something about put the kids in a bubble or something. I mean, they've missed three SWAC games, you know what I'm saying? So they starting off in a hole, and that's going to hurt them down the road.
Yeah, I'm going to be real interested to see if Commissioner McClellan is going to make an exception to the number of wins that a school is going to be able, going to need to be able to compete in the SWAC tournament, because you cannot control COVID. You just cannot.
And we've seen that with the SWAC before, as they've made exceptions, for different things, whether it was the year that they let teams play even with the APR just to make sure that you had enough teams in the tournament, whatnot. Look, ultimately, you want to find opportunities for kids to play and not take them away from them. Right. That's my thought in collegiate sports. This isn't the pros. You should be doing everything you can if the opportunities are safe and optimal to get those kids the opportunity to fulfill what they're trying to do. But so to me, a conference tournament, which already, if you're the SWAC, you've seen in years past, you've had some teams that made it to the NCAA tournament because they won the tournament that you didn't want in.
Right.
That you really that took out your best chance to maybe steal at a first round win. So if you've been willing to sacrifice your best team before, don't change your tune now. If you've given that opportunity in the past, if I'm a coach, then that's what I'm going to point to is you've done this before. Give me my opportunity now.
Yeah, I always thought the SWAC basketball would really one day really jump up into the NCAA tournament at the end, because it's I'm not gonna say easy. You know, nothing about coaching is easy, but you don't need as many men, you know, to and I just think that you know, if I was a SWAC basketball coach, I'll be going after the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bringing them on campus. I would be, look, I used to ask them, I used to say, look, just take a black college visit. Go to Kentucky, go to Louisville, go to North Carolina, and then I want you to come to my university. And I'm gonna bring him on homecoming weekend.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna bring him when the skirts are high and the boots.
Coach, we're the radio station. Coach, we can't have high skirts.
Hey, it's gonna be the lipstick and the long hair and the bands.
We gotta go, man.
And the alumni on, and we gonna show you a good time.
Coach, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you on your social media sites, man.
You can find me on Twitter, HBO, Big Play, Offense, on Facebook, and on Instagram, Cold-Blooded 9.
David Grubb, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, brother.
And at DM Grubb on Instagram and Twitter, and Hard to Paint is available wherever you get your podcast. So go ahead and check that out. And Coach, I'm telling you, like, you didn't send me the information last week. You sent me the information this week, because I think we can do a series. We can do a series on my pod.
That guy right there.
Yeah, AJ, you sent me that info
today. Listen, we got to roll. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I can't wait to tune in to that podcast, because that's going to be fire. All right, guys, y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. All right?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We got to get ready to go. Donnie McClurkin up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. He'll give you the best in gospel music, the latest in the gospel music industry. Donnie does his thing every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3. Let me go ahead and hit you with some birthdays real quick before we go. All right, happy birthday going out to the following people. What is this? Why can't I get this off here? Oh, here it is. I'm hitting the wrong thing. Happy birthday going out to Tanya Dixon, celebrating her birthday along with Alvana Baltrip. She's 64. Candace Cooper, happy birthday, young lady. Sharon Fletcher. Gloria McGowan is 72. Melissa Dorsey celebrating a birthday with Kathleen Dominguez, 37. Barbara Nwanko, sis, happy birthday. Alfredia Arsenault celebrating a birthday with Montina Cooper. She is 37. Happy birthday to you, Montina. Couple of celebrity birthdays for you today. Happy birthday going out to Baseball Hall of Fame first baseman Mr. Willie McCovey, passed away in 2018, but he was a phenomenal player. Also, the boxer from Marshall, Texas, big time George Foreman, celebrating his birthday. Also, Glenn Robinson, not Glenn Big Baby Robinson, but the other Glenn Robinson, celebrating a birthday, won the Olympic gold medal with in Michigan. And also Jake DeLone from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, celebrating his birthday. All right, couldn't get Usher queued up, so happy birthday, happy anniversary to you and yours. Donnie McClurkin up next. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you. There's nothing you can do about it. We'll be back tomorrow with Talk Your Team Tuesday. I will announce the winner of this week's Lunch Break Weekly, Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge tomorrow, and we'll let you know who will be in the top 6 and who will compete for $500 cash. All that tomorrow on the Lunch Break. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Donnie McClurkin up next.
The legendary 1140 AM
All right, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed the show, man. Really enjoyed Coach. Really enjoyed David Grubb. And, of course, always enjoy y'all. Again, not this, definitely this. We'll talk to you tomorrow.